So I'm going to review one of the most important tools that you should have in your trading business. I say business because that's what it is. Trading is not some sort of gambling habit. It is a business. You need to treat it as such. And as traders, assuming that you're using the computer, which I mean, let's get real. Everybody's using the computer. You need to have this tool a part of the business. So when I say it's one of the most important, I don't mean to get dramatic, but in my mind, it is the most important because what this tool is doing, protecting your trades, is extremely important. And what I want to talk about is a power supply, a backup power supply more specifically, meaning if the power were to go out while you're trading, then you're still okay. You're still going to have time to finish off your positions, to close them down as need be, whatever is the case. The last thing you want is to be in the middle of a trade and then all of a sudden your computer dies. Now, yes, I realize that you can call up your broker, but let's get real. Maybe even, let's assume the best case scenario, you have a post-it note of your broker's number, hanging on one of your monitors. Still, for the time of you to pick up the phone, dial in, wait to get connected, wait for that rep, assuming they even know what they're talking about, but waiting for that rep to log into your account, I mean, that's valuable time. Now, if you are a long-term investor or a long-term swing trader, then this probably doesn't pertain to you. But in many cases, those, that time it takes could really add up. And for the cost of what these units, are priced at, it's really at the end of the day a dirt cheap insurance policy to protect yourself, because all it takes is one power outage at a bad timing and you could be down a whole lot more than what it would cost to put this into place. So what I'm going to talk about is the power supply that I use, go over the things that I like about it, and that way, show you the one that I have. And if you want to add it into your business, hint, please do. Remember, very cheap insurance policy. Then you can do that. I am now on location under my desk, and here is the quote-unquote insurance policy. This is the CyberPower 1500. One note, there are other choices available, so you don't have to go with the 1500. I went with the 1500 because it's going to give you the max amount of time in the event that the power does go out. And for me, I just want to have peace and quiet. I want to be able to manage my trade in the most relaxing way possible, to prevent any sort of portfolio fires or anything like that. I'm not saying that the other versions are not going to give you enough time, but for me it was worth paying $20 more to get the max amount of time to do what I need to do in regards to the trade. Now, has it ever been put under stress? Has it ever kind of seen some battle? And it has actually, and a couple times in the periods, I guess, which is why you would want to have it. Right? Do you need to have a backup power supply if it's storming outside, if there's a tornado outside? Of course not. You're probably just not going to be trading because probably not worth taking the risk if the power could go out. But there have been a couple instances where the birds were chirping, blue skies, and then all of a sudden, hey, power goes out. Now, I can't sit here and say that, and because of that, this machine saved me from almost losing $25,000. Can't say anything like that. But it was very nice. I was in trades and I could exit them very peacefully and no problem. Again, we want this. The insurance policy comes into play for when the blue sky is out and the birds are chirping. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that the power could go out if there's a tornado going by your window. So, that's where kind of the bread and butter of this one comes into play, is the times when you would least expect it. But like I said earlier, 15 and 25 minutes, I get when the power has gone out. And that is more than enough time where I can do what I need to do in regards to saving the trade. So the actual unit is kind of big and bulky. That'd be my one kind of drawback here, is I wish it was a little bit smaller. Is it a deal breaker? By no means. It's still nicely shaped, so it's not like it's an awkward bulky, but it is a good size. But it's still, like I said, going back to the shape, you can slip it in any nook and cranny that you would need to. Lengthwise, probably about a foot. Height-wise, about 8 inches. And then, width-wise, probably about 4 inches. But you can just go and get those specifications on Amazon or wherever if you want to kind of just make sure that it's going to fit into an area around your desk that you would want to put it. So display here is, to be honest, I've never looked at the display. So you have load capacity, battery capacity, and then the output. But like I said, to be honest, I could care less what that screen is saying. I just want this thing to work when it needs to work, and as I've discussed, it has worked under those times of duress where the power goes out. Let's see, I think that pretty much summarizes the front of it, but it also offers quite a bit of flexibility, so let's go around to the back side and we'll talk about that flexibility. All right, here is the back of the unit, and A lot of good stuff going on here, and like I said, a lot of flexibility. So over here you have 4 plugs. The key thing about these plugs though is that they're just a surge protecting. So if the power goes out, anything that's plugged into these ones is not going to still work. So that's just a distinction that you want to make sure. But it's very nicely labeled surge, and then over here it says battery. So these plugs right here are the ones that where if the power does go out, then the battery kicks in and you're still going to have power to do what you need to do. So a lot of flexibility though. It serves as a surge protector and a power backup, and a lot of different choices. I mean, you have all sorts of outlets here, all sorts of outlets over there, so you really can't complain about that. Now up here you have a couple different choices for cable jacks and such. So if you want to get your router and stuff like that plugged into play, then you can also do that. Obviously, I have no use for those, so I'm not using any of those areas up there. And then here you have a couple different ports for if you were interested in the internals, what's going on with your computer, what's going on with the machine itself, then you could look at that. But kind of like the front display, like I said, I could really care less about that stuff. I mean, if you're into that, then I guess that's cool. I mean, whatever floats your boat. Maybe you need to know that sort of stuff for whatever you would be using this. This is obviously not something that would just be needed for traders. Maybe you're playing Call of Duty at 3 a.m. and you're curious what's going on. So I don't know. Point being, I don't use it. I don't really care. But you do have those choices available for you, if you so choose. So a lot of different things you can do here on the back. And the thing that I like about the most is there are plenty of accommodations. Like I said, I have open plugs here, so I don't even use it to what it could handle, which just shows that it can really accommodate quite a few different situations, not just a trader or a gamer, or many other instances that I'm probably not even thinking of. This is very important. Maybe something you need, maybe not. It's all going to depend on the question: is your modem, is your router next to your computer? If it is, then you can use the power supply that we just talked about. But if it isn't, like in my case and like in many cases, then you still need the internet. When you stop and think about the logistics of things, okay, the power goes out and your computer stays on. That's fine. But if you're trading online, well, you still need the internet, right? So you got to make sure that your internet is powered, and your internet is powered with the modem and with the router. So in this case, down in my basement, I have another CyberPower product right here. Again, we'll put some screenshots of the one that I have and a link to it on Amazon. But this is the one that I have down in my basement where my router and modem are plugged into it. So if the power goes out, my computer stays on, number one, my internet stays on, number two. Both of those need to happen. And whether you're trading stocks or, like I said, doing some sort of gaming or whatever, you're going to want to, both of those things to stay powered on. Again, though, just to repeat, if your internet comes in right next to your computer, so if your router and modem is sitting next to your computer, then this would not be necessary. But if it's at some other point in the house, then you'd want to make sure that you have something to back up in any sort of fluke accident. For some final thoughts, overall, you absolutely need some sort of backup power supply. Do you need the CyberPower one that I've talked about and reviewed? Probably not. But definitely go out there and get something that fits into the criteria that you need. Mainly the criteria being how long of battery life is it going to give you in the event the power goes off. I've been very pleased with the CyberPower. Like I said, it's seen battle, it's gone under some stress, and it's worked every single time, and I've been able to do what I need to do as a trader to ensure that, like I said, my portfolio doesn't burn to the ground. And finally, don't be a cheapskate like I was for a while, thinking, you know what? If it's storming out, if it's super windy out, then I just won't trade, and that's good enough. It's not. Is it really worth the cost that you can pay to ensure that even in those blue sky, birds chirping situations, that everything's going to be okay? It's just spend the money, put a little small insurance policy in place, and then you can trade with peace of mind knowing that everything is going to be fine. There's no sort of little surprise that can jump up and bite you. Because it just takes that one surprise that can wipe out a whole lot of gains. And are the odds like super high of it happening? They're not. But there's always that but. It's smart to have insurance. If you're a homeowner, you have homeowner's insurance. If you drive any sort of vehicle, you have vehicle insurance. Hopefully you have health insurance. Why not have a little bit of trading insurance that doesn't cost that much? And you know what? It's not a recurring payment like those other insurances that I just talked about. It's a one-time payment, and then you're good to go. So it's really, when you stop down and think about it, when you break down the numbers, break down what it's really kind of providing, it truly is a no-brainer. So I'd encourage you to start out at the CyberPower. I've been very pleased with it. But if you want to go and look at something else, that's totally cool too. The point here being, put that insurance policy in place and make sure that you can trade with total peace of mind.